Johnny Ringer here. Welcome to my surf channel. We're going to talk about all stuff surfing going back, I don't know, maybe from 2015 all the way back to the 60s. Okay? I was born in 56. I remember growing up and going to Ole Hansen Elementary School, right above San Clemente High School on the hill up there. I remember the day Kennedy was shot. And they marched the whole school out on the playground, and they explained it's going to be a day of mourning from here on. And they lowered the flag to half-mast and sent us all home. It was very shocking for everybody. It just went right down to the little kids as well. I mean, everybody was just in utter shock that this could happen. And a couple years later, sixth grade, of course. A few years after that, I was in sixth grade, same school. Mr. Anderson was our teacher. I met a little kid I became friends with. His name was Jackie Dunn, and he was a surfer. He had the blonde hair, and he was super tan. He had little surf knots, about as big as an almond or something. He was just this little skinny kid, but he was a surfer, and I always wanted to be a surfer. I knew about the surfers down at Doheny, and we had gone down there. This was in longboard days, big old logs. Everything was a log. They didn't have nothing under 10 foot probably back then. You got in your 9 8-footers, man, those were like shortboards. So, anyways, Jackie Dunn was getting rid of one of his old boards. It was a Joe Quigg model. And it was like a 10-footer, but the nose had been broken off. Nobody bothered to repair it, so they just had sawed it straight across. And I got my friend Steve Daly from up the street helped me glass that and fix that. So I had a board, a real surfboard, and he sold it to me for $4. And I had another friend, T.J. Dahl. He later on became a great surfer too, a legend in his own right. His father was Reggie Dahl, who had the boat rescue service out of Dana Point Harbor. So he patched up the board. He didn't even shape it. He just fiberglassed the front of it so water wouldn't get in. And it had 4 inches of pigment, green stripe, red stripe, green stripe, red stripe. It became known as the Christmas Bomb. It was a Joe Quigg model, which, what was left out of this 10-foot board had a big old wooden fin on it and stuff. So, we'd always have a hard time getting that wax on the board, especially if it had been cleaned off. They cleaned off the wax for me. I was supposed to get new wax. I never waxed the board. So someone told, you melt it in a pot and drip. Once you get those little drips going, you'll have no problem with that. So, okay. So I got out my mom's saucepan. Yeah, her little tomato saucepan. I got that out, and I put all we had was paraffin, the big blocks of the paraffin wax, like you would make candles out of. They come in a box, a big block. It was like about 6x3 block, So I melted it in the saucepan, and I drip, 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 and I would get that thing going. Man, I love that method, So later on, my mom found out, and she was making her spaghetti sauce, and this wax was coming up off the pan. Well, she got pretty pissed off, She's like, damn it, someone's going to be in a lot of trouble. We had 6 kids. It was 3 boys, 2 girls, okay, and me. So 4 boys, 2 girls, family of 6. So one day I'm out there putting the drips on, drip, 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 drip. Someone's like, Mom's home, Mom's just driven up. I'm like, oh, damn, I had that pot of boiling paraffin. So I said, so I ran in the bathroom, closed the door behind me, and I shoved it under cold water, which made it all crackle and pop. And it all cracked and sizzled, and it popped all over my face. And all these little bumps got wiped off the wax, and it was burning my face, and I got it all off with the towel, and I put the pot in the cabinet. I went back in, and my mom's like, what the hell? Go, Johnny, come here. She goes, what's up with your face, You all right? And I'm like, well, I'm not really feeling good, Mom. I don't know. I would use a pity card if I could. I guess it's a little kid. Oh, Mom, yeah, I'm not feeling that good, And she's like, well, we better take you to the doctor right now. So we were poor, and a doctor visit was a big deal. I mean, that was big money out of our pockets, our mom's pockets for the household budget. So it was a big deal. So now we're on the way to the doctor. She goes, yeah, you look terrible. Those little bumps all over you. You know, I'm like, I don't know what it could be, Mom. You know, and I was thinking of that surfboard in there just waiting to go out. Man, I wanted to go out. So we lived up the hill of Cascadita in Shorecliffs. We were one of the first houses in Shorecliffs, up to Cascadita, where they have the little school there up there now at the top. At the bottom is the San Clemente D&V now. So that was a market basket back then. You could buy a Hobie Flexi skateboard with clay wheels, mind you. It was like $9.99 or something. It was like the new innovation clay wheels. Okay, it was a big upgrade from steel wheels. That we used to have steel wheels. You hit just a little tiny piece of gravel or anything, you're dust. Okay, so my mom took me into the doctor. We get in there, the doctor. He does all the vitals. He goes out to my mom, you know, and I'm in up to here at this point. You know, I'm even faking symptoms to the doctor at this point because I don't want to get in trouble. You know, so he's talking to my mom. John has a rare case of impetigo. I'm like, damn, well, impetigo? What the hell is that? You know, Johnny can't go to school. He needs to stay at home and go get him his prescription pills he has to take every day. So my mom was going to real estate school, okay? And so she'd be gone all day, and so I get back to the house. And I didn't tell her for 50 years or something, 40 years later or something. I told her that I was faking, you know, I didn't want to have a heart attack all those years. And I finally told her. We finally made amends and became very close. We were very close, me and my mother. She was a great artist and a purveyor of public interest, okay, let's say. Okay, so she would go off to real estate school, and I would hide the pills under the bed, under the pillow, pretending like I was taking these pills. But no, they were under the pillow. And once everybody was gone from the house, they all went, you know, to elementary school, you know, and all this. And I think maybe my sisters, they were going to junior high, maybe Donna and Jim. Donna and Jim were here. So, my mom was gone. I couldn't carry that board down to the beach. It was too big for me, too heavy. But I could pick it up by the nose and drag it by the fin. It made this big chalk line all the way down Cascadita, down San Andres, down Cascadita, there Camino Capistrano, right where everybody goes surfing at Pochi. That was the big spot to learn, okay? That's where everybody was surfing in my neighborhood. So we could walk there. So, and my mom would, you know, well, funny thing, it was a big chalk line. Somebody, did you see that big chalk line? You know, I don't know, it must have been one of those kids on those skateboards popping a wheelie or something. You know, so we were little rascals, you know. And so my mom would give us rides sometimes. Okay, my mom would give us rides up to Doheny State Park, because that's where the good surfers were, and the waves were better. And back then, they didn't have the harbor. They had Killer Dana. They had the inside spot called Neepies, a perfect left. And then they had boneyards like it does now, second spot, third spot, second spot. First spot was down at the river mouth, San Juan Creek River. Okay, and I lived in Dana, so I move on to Dana Point. Okay, so I'll tell you a few more things about my Shorecliffs days. And the next video will be about Dana Point days and how we discovered Salt Creek. And if you could hit the like button and subscribe, or just hit the like button, no sweat off your back, that would really help me out a lot. I'm trying to get a new roof over my head here, and I'm on a very limited income, so do what you can, okay? And so I'm going to tell you one more thing. We have the Time Tunnel, is where the Shorecliffs Country Club is, for the golf course there. And that tunnel goes under the freeway. So the Time Tunnel was a big thing on TV, the Time Tunnel. So, and we got these, they were called Whammo air blasters. You'd pump this thing up, a Whammo air blaster, and pop, it would pop out this big, and we'd go through the tunnel and pretend like we're in the Time Tunnel. And I took people on these big excursions through the Time Tunnel. You know, it was pretty cool back then, you know, because up where the elementary school is at the top of the Cascadita, up at that elementary school, that was just a flat cow field all the way to San Clemente. There was one little pond in there, which we built like a little Thomas Sawyer raft on that pond, and we'd go play, you know. And then finally when you get down there, and it was Reeves Rubber, where my friend's dad worked there. And so, anyways, I'll put in a couple. There was Max McDonald lived above me. My dad died when I was in junior high school. So, and then my mom got in a severe car accident when she was going to her real estate lessons. So she was in intensive care, and we had 6 kids. But it was so cool back then. It was so down home. It was almost like a country feel compared to nowadays. And so everybody in Short Cliffs knew everybody, okay? And my friend and his sister, Shannon McDonald, I named him the Blue Max. He became a shaper of surfboards later on. And I don't know if any of you guys, I'm going to be mentioning a lot of names of people that have passed on, and a lot of you buddies of mine from the past that are still alive. And if that's one of you, I just want to say right on, man. And, slap your 5, internet style. And next week, okay, and one more thing. So, and we get cows from the cow pastures on the other side of the freeway. We'd herd it through the time tunnel down to, we thought we were so hot for herding that thing down on the beach. We'd get a cow on the beach. Yeah, we did it. We'd get in all kinds of trouble and stuff. We were just like, normal, mischievous little kids. We'd be down there. Sure, there was Steve Daly. He lived up on the hill. And Chris Carmichael, he was a great surfer in his day. These guys I'm going to mention, Chris Carmichael, Jackie Dunn, Gary Dunn, Paul Fernald, John Thompson, Rick Wallace, the Metzgers. And this was way before the Paskowitz camps and all that shit. This was even before that. Okay, Paskowitz surf camp. And so all along there where it's the bluffs up there. Camino Capistrano goes along the bluff, and you're looking down at Doheny, and you're looking down at Middles there, sort of, where the hole in the fence is and all that, and all the way down to Short Cliffs. That was one solid field. And you get your mini bikes, and we'd play in that all day long. From there to there was not one house. And we'd ride all the way down where Costco is now, was actually little stables. It was like San Juan Creek stables. And my friend Susan Thompson, I think her name, John Thompson's sister, and me and her went out, and she had a horse there. And we could pick up the horses, and we could ride them all the way back to Short Cliff and then back down there when we were done with them and put them away at the stables. It was so much different than it is now. Anyways, that's all for today, folks. Talk to you later.